Want insight, encouragement, and the truth about writing, speaking, and creating? Welcome to For Writers and Speakers, the Called Creatives podcast with myself, Alli Worthington.
And I'm Lisa Whittle. And today we have a real treat for you. Stephanie Mae Wilson is with us, a brilliant writer, podcaster, and speaker. And she's going to talk to you about creating the life you want. So join us. You're not going to want to miss it.
Stephanie Mae Wilson, we are so happy to have you on the show. Not only are you a brilliant businesswoman, a brilliant writer, you are now a TEDx speaker. Number one, how did it happen? Number two, how did you keep from falling off the stage? Number three, how did you control your nerves? I could ask a million questions. I'm going to let you go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I am thrilled and truly deeply honored to be here talking with you guys. You guys are both such incredible businesswomen and authors and leaders, and to get to sit with you is just such a gift. So thank you. Okay. Seriously, when I tell you that I could have almost threw up, passed out, or peed my pants on stage, it's like very true. The thing that was intimidating about it, so the rooms aren't that big, or like the audiences aren't that big. I think there's like 100 or 150 person, maybe 200 person limit to the audience. So it's not huge. And I guess that's like a TEDx rule. So it wasn't that it was just this giant audience. And also I know the content like the back of my hand. It's basically the TED version of my book. It was that it had to be memorized. And I thought that, so it also has to be under a time limit. And I was like cutting things until the day of. So that meant that like memorized, yes, deeply ingrained in my soul, like not quite. And so I had a friend who surprised me and came with me. I thought I was going by myself because, you know, I have 2 3-year-olds. My family's moving to Spain in 3 weeks. Like we have a lot going on. And so I thought I was going by myself. One of my friends showed up and surprised me. And so I did the talk for her 2 hours before it was time. And I got through the first 30 seconds and then my whole mind went blank. And I thought, oh my gosh, I might really, really tank this. Like this, I really, really might not be able to do this. And it was, 18 minutes of a memorized talk. And I had, all the words exactly the way I wanted them. So anyway, I'm glad that I got that version, that crappy first draft, as Anne Lamott would say, out of my body, I guess, before I went on, because it went way better in real life. And I got through it. And that was basically the bar. First, I wanted to crush it. And then I just wanted to survive it. And I mean, like, crush, I don't know. I definitely survived it. And so therefore it is truly one of the things I'm most proud of doing. And also I don't think I would do it again.
I felt the anxiety of the moment as you were talking about it, because I can only liken it to being on Good Morning America. I don't know if you felt that too, Alli, when she was talking about that, because that was my biggest thing was, will I in that moment freeze and have absolutely nothing to say on national TV and feel like a complete idiot? And that was only a 3-minute soundbite. So the stakes are much higher here in many ways. I think that has always been my biggest fear with speaking, is the lights are on, but no one's home type of moment where like someone flips the switch and like there's nothing, all of a sudden drooling from the mouth. I've got nothing to say. And there's all of these eyes on me and you're thinking, nothing. Blank, nothing. I have no wisdom, nothing, absolutely all of it. Yeah.
I don't even know what my name is. Well, and the thing about that is, if you're speaking somewhere, you can like look down at your notes, you can compose yourself. But like, if you only have 3 minutes on Good Morning America, you don't have notes. You can't like have a cheat sheet. And we didn't have a cheat sheet. So it was like, if it goes blank, you just have to sit there. Yeah. Like, until it hopefully comes back. But I don't know. I don't see it like coming back. It just feels like if it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. Sitting there in all of your humility, you're being humbled to the core. And oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on that. That is amazing. That kind of brings me to this thought about what I think a lot of us struggle with, which is imposter syndrome. Because you walk into a space like that, I can imagine, and you're feeling like, am I an imposter here? Why am I here? How did I get here? And as many pep talks as we can give ourselves, as confident as we can feel, all of the things through the years, right, that we feel like we've gotten to this space, an author, all of that. Is there a moment where you have come to feel, or is there something that you've done to where you've been able to deal with imposter syndrome, or you just understand that it creeps up sometimes, and how do you deal with it when it does?
It's, imposter syndrome is, I think, I honestly feel like one of the biggest gifts that God has given me in my life is this wiring to where I feel like I am sort of the slightly older sister guinea pig, where I go through something and my job is just to remember what it was like and write down some notes and learn a few things and then pass them back. I have a background in journalism. That was my major in school. I veered to the right or to the left, whichever way, into women's ministry. That was like right after college. So one of my first experiences was being like the big sister who's like a step and a half ahead, who's just teaching out of my own, well, this is what worked for me, and don't do that. That did not work. So I think because of that, I've known that my best thing isn't being an expert. It's being just a friend who's willing to have the conversation. So I think because of that, I think that has shielded me from some imposter syndrome, and I'm really grateful. However, that has not shielded me from fear. And I constantly, when I'm going into anything, it's actually going into something, I'm pretty confident. I'm excited. I'm like pumped that I signed this book contract. I'm excited that I'm moving my family to Spain. Any of the things I've ever done in my life, I'm like, great idea from a ways out. But as I get close to it, I start to feel really small, just scared and insecure. And like, why did I think this was a good idea? Like, I'm going to fall on my face. I can't do this. It really just feels like fear. And the scariest part of it has always been that with that fear comes this belief that the fact that I'm feeling like this means I'm not meant to do this. Because someone like Lisa or Alli, they don't feel scared. Watch them just get on stage. Like, watch them launch this book. They're not scared. And so for years, I wrestled with this of like, is this a message from God? Like, you're not meant to do this. Like, you're beyond your depth, kiddo. Or does this mean I'm not strong enough for this? And so for years, every time I would talk to anyone doing anything in the world, all I wanted to ask them was like, are you scared? Like, Olympians, are you scared? Football players, are you scared? Pastors, are you scared? Like, anyone, are you guys scared? Running for an election? Like, are you scared when you're going into these debates? What does your tummy feel like right now? I need to know. Like, I've asked the question of a lot of people, and it turns out everyone's scared. Everyone's scared. No one feels like they are invincible. No one feels as tall as they look and as confident as they look. Nobody feels like they have it all together. Nobody feels like, just nobody has that. Nobody is doing these things without fear. And so the more people I've been able to talk to and like run that by them, the more I've gotten to really embrace the fact that you're really scared and you just make yourself do it anyway. And that's what every single other person in the world is doing that's ever doing anything big. There's just not a point where you don't feel scared, I don't think.
Amen to that. Everyone just rewind. Is that dating me? Rewind the episode a couple of minutes and listen to Stephanie say that over and over again. Clip that, save it for when you're like, this is a message from God. I'm not supposed to do it because I'm still afraid. We're all still afraid. So good.
Yeah.
I want to change gears really quickly because I know that one of your strengths is email building. So what I would love to hear from you, you've been building your email list forever. As an expert, how do you pick the right lead magnet? And we'll go into what kind of lead magnets do you feel like are working for you right now?
Oh, man. Okay. I don't currently have a lead magnet. I'm in the process of making some new ones. And so this is something I'm like actively thinking about because I haven't, I've been writing a book for the last 2 years. And so I haven't revamped my lead magnets in a while. The things though that have worked really, really well for me are quizzes, but they're not real quizzes. So I basically I do this a lot. I just break the rules and I just make the thing that I feel like I really want to make. I made a workbook. The book was, are you ready to meet your future person? It's had a couple different names. Like, are you ready to meet your husband? Are you ready to meet your future person? Something like that. Are you ready for marriage? And It's a reflection guide. It's not a quiz. It's not on one of the quiz apps. You download it and it's a workbook. And in it, I ask thought provoking questions. And then at the end, I have this answer guide where it's like we're sitting down for coffee and I say, hey, listen, if you feel like, if I said, hey, why do you want to get married? And you're like, well, because it'll fix everything about my life. Okay, if you said that, that's not the case. And here's why. And here's the next step that you can take, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this quiz that I marketed as a quiz, because I'm like, I don't really know what else to call it, is like 100 pages long. It's like a book, but it's a workbook that has been so powerful. The experience of going through it has been so powerful. I feel like I get to share and like actually give so much in it. It's been downloaded like 100,000 times or something like that, like crazy amount. It's been really great, especially leading into a course that I've been teaching for years called Love Your Single Life. I know that there are lists out there of like 10 lead magnets that you can use, and start there for sure. But I think that what tends to work better for me is thinking about my people and going, okay, what do they need? And what's a problem that I can help them solve that's a piece of it that I can really solve, but just like a bite, sort of an appetizer, and solve it in the way that you would want it solved for you. It can be a whatever. It's just a small thing that you're giving away for free. The first thing I ever gave away for free was my first book, The Lipstick Gospel. It was like kind of a long ebook. It's like 35,000 words, short for a print book. I have physical copies that you can buy, but also you can just download it for free. And I mean, that's been up for 10 years and it's been a fantastic lead magnet. So you can do anything, can be a lead magnet. It's just something really valuable that you have to give that solves a problem, and you make it in a bite-sized format that can be downloaded instantly so you don't have to fulfill it all the time.
I think that's so good because a lot of times we try to come up with all these other things that are way out of our reach, but so many things are right there. What are your people wanting? What can you do that's right there that you can serve them well with? It's super smart. It's super smart. It's right there. Just think about what people are talking about, what people are asking about, what conversations you're a part of in your everyday life, and how can you help? Just how can you help? So that's a perfect example of that. So I love your new book, Create a Life You Love, How to Quiet Outside Voices So You Can Finally Hear Your Own. Brilliant title, by the way. I love titling. You can ask Alli. It's one of my favorite things to do and help people
Lisa,
with.
I will call you next time because that
Oh,
was a hard piece of this. Oh my goodness gracious.
well, it might have been hard, but you landed on a really good one. So kudos to keeping on until you've landed on something really great. But I love that because a lot of us have a lot of trouble quieting those outside voices to hear ours. And I think a primary example of that is in this craft of writing, speaking, all of these creative arts, right? Because we have these dreams. We really want to move forward in them, but we have these outside voices. And often it's the silence of people who don't maybe support our dreams. Maybe we really, really want to move forward, but we don't have the endorsement of others and people valuing what we do. And one of the things that was interesting was I was having a conversation with my husband, my son, and my daughter the other night. And my daughter and I were kind of tag teaming, trying to explain to the men in our life that women don't invest in themselves. And they didn't get it at all. And I know I see Alli, she's exasperated over here, shaking her head, but this is something we struggle with a lot in Called Creatives, and getting women to understand the importance in investing in themselves. And women just don't get this so many times, not investing in themselves, or they quit on themselves because they'll invest in everything else. And it's amazing to me that my 21-year-old daughter can actually get this. She gets it at her age, and she understands and sees how women don't invest in themselves. I was thinking about your book and creating a life that we love and quieting outside voices to find our own. What would you say to women about really moving forward in their dreams and the importance of investing in themselves, whether it's that there's silence around them, people aren't endorsing what they want to do, or whether it's loud voices that are saying, I don't really know if you can do it, and discouraging them? What would you say to them?
Oh man, I think one of the hardest things for me about being a called creative is that there are so many things you could do. And it feels like there's so many things you should do. And everyone has like, well, there's a bazillion platforms that you're supposed to be investing in on a regular basis in order to accomplish anything. And it's too much. There's too many things that you could do. I think there really is such value in trying to get quiet, trying to step away from the judgment of other people, the advice of other people, the paths of other people, and to really talk to yourself and figure out what about this you want to do? What about this you can do? The other night, a dear friend of mine, we were at dinner and she was like, Steph, I'm excited for this next season of life because I think that this is going to be an opportunity for you to do more of what's fun for you. And she's like, you've been sprinting for so long. And I'm just excited to see which pieces of this feel really fun to you. Because I have a feeling the more you do those things that feel really fun to you, those are the things that are going to grow. There's so much that this could look like. And also there are so many people that have so many opinions about the work that we do. We have to really be on board for it. Whether that's like trying to decide if you do a newsletter or a Substack. I don't think I'm going to do a Substack because I don't like the idea of having to make my newsletter good enough to pay for every week. Like that feels like stress to me. I'd rather bring back my blog. I think I'm going to be blogging a lot as we travel because I used to love that. And I think that I could really love that again. So it's things like that. A lot of people are doing this. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that fits me. I'm going to try this instead. Also, there are going to be so many days and seasons where the people around you don't get what you're doing. Some people will be like, you're going to share that much of your life on the internet? Like, that's weird. Or, oh, look at you trying something, but it's really small and you're not there yet. And you're like, oh, it's really hard to have someone watch your beginning. Or, they may disagree with what you're talking about in general. There just are so many opinions. I think in order to get anywhere, in order to stay on the road long enough to get anywhere worth going, you got to really know where you want to go and why. And you don't need to know the very final destination, but you need to be listening to yourself enough to go, like, I know you don't get it, but I am going to do this. Or I hear you, I trust your advice, but that just doesn't fit me right now. And here's why. And then in terms of investing in yourself, there's this idea that has been floating around the world for a bazillion years that asking for help is weakness, that if you're really good enough, you should be able to do it by yourself. And that's one of those things that, when you go around and ask anybody successful, are you scared? They're going to say yes. And also if you ask them, did you do this by yourself? They're going to go, absolutely not. Like, how did you get to where you are? With a lot of help of all kinds, childcare, therapy, a business coach, all of it. Nobody can do any of this by yourself. And really, you can try. You're not going to get as far and you're not going to get there anywhere near as fast as you would if you just asked for help. And last thing, while I'm up here on my soapbox, there is there's a fear, I think, in us, maybe only as women. We see someone like Lisa or you see someone like Alli and you go, oh, I really wish she could mentor me. Like, I really wish I could pick her brain. That there's that phrase. But then you go to reach out, maybe you get up the guts to reach out and you say, can I pick your brain? And it turns out that they have kids and a life and a business and groceries to buy. And like, they don't have time to have everyone pick their brains. And so then that feels like this, kind of rejection moment. A lot of people do have space in their calendar to coach someone who's going to pay them for it. That's a different ask. It is a different ask to say, hey, Lisa, can I go to coffee with you and pick your brain than it is to say, hey, Lisa, can I buy 4 hours of coaching with you? And maybe Lisa goes, oh, I don't do individual coaching. And you go, well, can you? Like, you're going to at least think about it. And so investing, like, that's a way of getting to sit at a table with someone who knows how to do what you want to do to make it worth their time. You make it worth their time. That's my soapbox.
That was a great soapbox. That was so great. And you're so right. I think it's a matter of honoring people's time and also knowing what you want. And that honors your time. What a great resource that you have for us. Create a life you love. And also just thank you for who you are. And thank you for your mentorship to being the big sister that goes first. And also cheering you on for your TEDx talk. We think that is fantastic, and we think you're fantastic. Thank you so much, Stephanie May Wilson, for being on the show today. We've enjoyed it thoroughly, and we enjoy you. We're cheering you as you move to Spain as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on the Called Creatives podcast. Be sure to download your free book proposal template. You can go to calledcreatives.com/book-proposal. We created it just for you. So whether you're writing this for an agent or to organize your thoughts before you write, this template will help your book process be a huge success. We'll see you back here on the Called Creatives podcast.